Welcome to New Hampshire's Business. I'm Fred Coker. There's a list of New Hampshire businesses certified as veteran-friendly that is very short compared to a list of New Hampshire veteran-owned businesses that is quite long. My guest will explain that. But first, here is a brief profile of military veterans in New Hampshire. Approximately 99,249 veterans live in New Hampshire. I'm one of them. The number is steadily declining. Over 51% age 65 or older, and I'm one of them too. So, veterans and businesses in New Hampshire, 2,700 veteran-owned businesses in the state, 72 certified as veteran-friendly by the Department of Military Affairs and Veterans Services. Certification as a New Hampshire veteran-friendly business, that was launched in 2020 by the New Hampshire Department of Military Affairs and Veterans Services, by New Hampshire Employment Security, and several New Hampshire businesses such as Next Step Bionics, who will talk in a minute about that. Access is free to job-seeking veteran talent pool, and custom design logo available for your business if you do that. With me to brief us on what is being done to help New Hampshire veterans with jobs when they come home from active duty, and specifically the certification of New Hampshire businesses as veteran-friendly, is the Deputy Adjutant General of the New Hampshire Department of Military Affairs and Veterans Services, Warren Perry, and the founder of Next Step Bionics and Prosthetics, a supporter with a few other New Hampshire businesses of Veterans-Friendly Business Initiative, Matt Albuquerque. Welcome to each of you. Glad to have you here.
It's glad to be here. Thanks for having us today,
You're
Fred.
welcome.
Thank you, Fred.
Colonel, I should call you Colonel. You're Colonel. New Hampshire businesses are looking for employees everywhere. I mean, the for-hire signs are out across the state, as you know. Your department has a pool of veterans trained in a variety of skills with this veterans-friendly program, and the founder of Next Steps is part of that. So what are you finding in the New Hampshire business community in terms of interest of being a veteran-friendly business? And are they tapping into that pool?
So right now we're reinvigorating the program. So after, we started it just before COVID, and
right.
now after COVID, we really want to get some interest in there. Interest has been slow, but it's steadily growing. So we'd like to be able to encourage more businesses to reach out so that we can recognize them for the things they're doing to impact veterans' lives.
At any given time, how many are in that pool?
About 7 veterans or business?
Veterans. Yep.
Veterans. So we think about 2,400 veterans a year come back to the state
Wow.
of New Hampshire and choose New Hampshire as their home of residence.
Right. How many businesses do you expect to certify this coming year?
We'd like to at least double the pool from 72 that you mentioned earlier to
right.
at least 150. That would be great. If we could get 300, that would even be greater. I mean, there's no limit to how we'd like to get after recognizing them. All of the businesses are doing something, and we certainly would like to get them on the books as recognized.
Well, here's a New Hampshire business that is certified as veteran-friendly, Matt. Next Step Bionics and Prosthetics. Art and science of precisely fitting prosthetics and artificial limbs, on-site fabrication of the limbs, right, Matt?
Yes.
Certified by the American Board of Certification of Orthodontics and Prosthetics. Matt, your company's been involved with a few others in this veterans-friendly program.
Yep.
What has it meant to you, and is the current employee shortage enough to persuade other businesses to get involved in this?
First of all, we're very proud of that distinction. We were one of the companies that won in the inaugural presentation of the award, something that we're very, very proud of. Not only do we hire veterans, but we take care of veterans because of what we do.
Right.
As far as the availability of veterans, we hire veterans all the time. We think it's one of the hidden pool of talents out there that isn't being recognized for the benefit that they bring to organizations like mine, and want to talk more about this program and appreciate the opportunity.
Right. Where are you located?
We're right down the street, actually, here on Commercial Street.
On Commercial Manchester.
Yeah, right at the end of Commercial Street here in Manchester. And
General, on another topic briefly, how is military recruitment, we'll put some numbers up on the screen, is not going well across the country. How is it going in New Hampshire?
So I think to say this, it's the same, right? So the recruiting drought affects all branches, all components, all services, and New Hampshire National Guard is certainly not immune to that.
Yeah.
It is, the Adjutant General's #1 strategic priority right now is recruiting. We need to continue to fill our ranks. There's some great benefits associated with joining the Guard: free tuition at state schools and community colleges, and it's a wonderful thing.
Okay. My thanks to Warren Perry, Colonel Perry, Deputy Adjutant General of the New Hampshire Department of Military Affairs and Veteran Services, and Matt Albuquerque, the founder of Next Step Bionics and Prosthetics right here in Manchester. And if you missed part of this briefing on veterans and being an honorary or being a business that is veteran friendly, you can go to WMUR.com, where it will be posted all this week.